You're standing in a gas station at 9 at night, holding a $5 bill and a lottery ticket you bought on a whim. And the screen behind the counter is scrolling numbers that don't feel real yet. 22, 8, 41. And then your own numbers start matching one by one. And your ears start ringing, and the clerk is saying something about a receipt, but you can't hear him because you just realized you are holding a piece of paper worth $500 million. Your hands are shaking. You put the ticket in your jacket, then take it out, then put it back. You get in your 14-year-old car with the check engine light that's been on for 2 years, and you sit there in the parking lot under the fluorescent hum, and you laugh, and then you cry, and then you laugh again. Because you just won. You beat the odds. 1 in 300 million, and it landed on you. Here's the thing nobody tells you in that parking lot. You didn't just win money. You got dropped with no map and no training into a completely different level of the game. A level with rules you've never seen, played by people who've been playing it their whole lives. And most people who win exactly what you just won are broke again within a few years. Not because they're stupid, because they don't understand the level they just walked into. But you're going to understand it? Stay with me, because the money is the easy part. What happens to you is the real story. Let's talk about the first 48 hours, because they matter more than any decision you'll make for the rest of your life. Your instinct is to call everyone. Your mum, your best friend, that cousin who always covered you when you were short on rent. Don't. The first rule of the level you just entered is that money you announce is money you lose. Anonymity is a currency worth more than the jackpot itself. And in most states, you can claim through a trust, a legal entity with a name like Silver Oak Holdings, so your face never hits a newspaper. The winners who pose with the giant cardboard check smiling, those are the ones who get the phone calls, the lawsuits, the long-lost relatives, the stranger at the door with a sad story. You're not going to be that person. You're going to be a ghost who happens to be rich. So the first thing you do isn't spend, it's hire. You call a fee-only fiduciary advisor, a tax attorney, and an estate lawyer, and you pay them by the hour, not by a percentage of your winnings, because the difference between those two payment structures is worth tens of millions over your lifetime. This is the part they don't show in the fantasy. The rich don't manage money alone. They assemble a team, and the team's entire job is to protect them from their own worst instincts. And then comes the decision that quietly determines almost everything. Lump sum or annuity. Take the annuity and you get the full 500 million spread over 30 years, protected from yourself, immune to the friend with the can't-miss restaurant idea. Take the lump sum and after federal and state taxes gut it, that 500 million becomes maybe 220. You take the lump sum, of course you do. Everyone does. And now you're sitting on roughly $220 million and you feel like the smartest person alive. Now watch what money does to time. The morning after the paperwork clears, you wake up in your same apartment, the one with the radiator that clanks, and for a second, you forget. Then you remember, and your chest does that thing again. You go to buy coffee and you catch yourself hesitating over whether to get the large. Old habits are physical. They live in your body. You could buy the coffee shop. You could buy the whole strip mall. But your hand still reaches for the smaller size because, for your entire life, money meant subtraction. Every purchase took something away. You haven't yet learned the new math, where the money makes more money while you sleep. 220 million, invested conservatively at 4%, throws off almost $9 million a year without you touching the principal. $9 million. That's $24,000 a day, arriving whether you get out of bed or not. You are now, for the first time in your life, on the correct side of compound interest, the side that's been quietly working against you your whole life through your car loan and your credit card and your rent. But here's where it gets strange, and this is the part that breaks people. You go to a dinner and you pick up the check and it's $400 and you don't feel it. Nothing. The number that used to be your entire grocery budget for a month is now a rounding error, invisible, gone before you registered it. And that numbness, that's the drug. That's the exact feeling that empties the accounts of 80% of lottery winners. Because when nothing costs anything, everything starts to cost everything. And you're about to find that out the hard way. It starts small, the way it always does. You upgrade the car, not to something insane, just something that doesn't announce itself. A clean grey sedan that costs more than you used to make in 3 years. Then you move, because the radiator was going to clank forever otherwise, and you find yourself standing in a house with more bathrooms than people, listening to your own footsteps echo. And here's the first quiet lie the level tells you, that the house will feel like a rival. It doesn't. You walk through rooms you'll never use, and the silence is so complete it has a texture. And you realize the apartment with the clanking radiator had one thing this palace doesn't: the sound of other people living close by. You have subtracted your entire old life without noticing, and nobody warned you that money removes friction, and friction was where all your relationships lived. Then the phone calls start anyway, Because you told one person, you had to, everyone tells one person, and one person is all it takes. Suddenly your cousin has a business plan. Your college roommate has a medical bill. A number you don't recognize leaves a 3-minute voicemail about a sister you've never met. And you learn the cruelest rule of this level. The word no now costs you relationships, but the word yes costs you everything else. Say yes to one, and 40 more appear, each with a story more legitimate than the last, and every single one of them genuinely believes that to you, this is nothing. And they're right. That's what makes it unbearable. You could fix every problem in the voicemail and not feel it in the account. So how do you look someone in the eye and refuse? You learn to. You have to. You set up a foundation, a legal structure, an application, a board that isn't you, so that giving becomes a system instead of a wound. The rich don't give from the heart in the moment. They give through machinery, precisely so their heart doesn't get harvested. Months pass. You stop reaching for the small coffee. The new math finally installs itself in your body, and one morning you notice that $24,000 arrived overnight and you felt nothing. And this time, the nothing scares you because it means the drug is working. You've watched the tape of the winners who ended up broke, and you always thought they were fools. Now you understand. They weren't fools. They were lonely and they were numb, and spending was the only thing that still made a sound. You catch yourself about to buy a boat you don't want, purely to feel the old flinch of a big number, and you put the phone down. So you do the thing almost no winner does. You give yourself a salary. You take that river of $9 million a year, and you pay yourself a fixed amount, enough to be free, not enough to go numb, and you lock the rest behind your own team, the fiduciary and the tax attorney, who you now understand were never expenses. They were the walls of the level. You buy time instead of things. You call the friend from the old building, the one who never asked you for a cent, and you notice she's the only one who still talks to you like a person, and you understand exactly why. The people who wanted nothing are the only company left worth keeping. And slowly, quietly, you build something that looks nothing like the fantasy in the parking lot. You fund the surgery for the kid 3 houses down without your name on it. You buy the strip mall after all, not to own it, but so the coffee shop you hesitated in that first morning never has to close. You become the ghost you promised to be, the anonymous hand behind things that just happen to go right for people who'll never know your face. That's the level nobody sees from the outside. The real players aren't the ones with the yacht in the magazine. They're the invisible ones, moving quietly, having figured out that the money was never the prize. The prize was the freedom to stop being subtracted from. A year later, you're standing in that same gas station at 9 at night. Same fluorescent hum, same scrolling screen behind the counter. You're only there for gum. And there's someone at the counter, a person with tired eyes and a $5 bill and a ticket bought on a whim, staring up at numbers that don't feel real yet. You watch their ears start to ring. You watch their hands begin to shake. And you know everything that's coming for them, the parking lot laugh, the phone calls, the silent house, the coffee they'll be afraid to order large. You could say something. You don't. Because there's no map for this level. And the only thing that saved you was learning to read the rules before they read you. You buy your gum. You leave 100 on the counter for the clerk without a word. And you walk out into the dark. An ordinary grey sedan in an ordinary lot. The richest ghost nobody will ever notice. 1 in 300 million landed on you. What you did after, that was the part that was never about luck at all.